I just saw something that I cannot believe is occurring, right? For a number of reasons. And I saw this on ABC News. Take a listen.
Roald Dahl's books are being rewritten. Augustus Gloop from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is no longer fat, but enormous. Mrs. Twit from The Twits has been changed from ugly and beastly to just beastly. The word black has been removed from the description of the terrible tractors in Fantastic Mr. Fox, and references to male and female characters has also been replaced by gender-neutral terms. For example, the Oompa Loompas are now small people instead of small men. References to mental health and race have also been changed. It's all part of a change by the publisher, Puffin, to remove language that seemed to be offensive. They've hired sensitivity readers to make the books more inclusive and accessible. Critics say the approach risks distorting the work of great authors.
Okay, so many thoughts on this. Am I the only one who actually does think this is a little bit excessive? Like, this is surely one of the... I just think, for so many reasons, I think this is so weird. Okay, first of all, like, can we now I'm just becoming that person, like, can we not say that? But like, so you can't, it's offensive now to describe a fictional character that is overweight as fat in a book. Like, is that, because now Augustus Gloop is only described to as enormous, but to me enormous has a different meaning than fat, depending on how it's framed. And I'm just like, I get that it's like, okay, we're trying to be a little bit more sensitive and like, we don't want to offend people who are overweight, but I also don't like, I don't know if it's a problem to encourage children to have healthy lifestyles and healthy diets, because there are health issues related to being overweight. I say this as someone who probably currently on the BMI is considered overweight, right? But also changing the Oompa Loompas from little men to little people. But the Oompa Loompas are little men. Like, you're now like changing the reality of the book. Admittedly, it's a warped reality, but I just don't get how it changed. Like, I understand if they're just like linguistic changes, but changing the Oompa Loompas to little men from little people when they are little men. Roald Dahl intended the Oompa Loompas to be little men, not little, like, why does anybody care? I'm not sure if it's just to be more inclusive to like men, women, and non-binary people, but does anyone actually care about the gender identity of the Oompa Loompas? They don't even have names. Why don't we start by giving the Oompa Loompas individual names? What are they? Are they human beings? Are they a different I don't understand. Are they a different species? Are they like magical creatures, like elves? It's never even explained. I want an explanation on that before I figure out their gender. Like, surely the Oompa Loompas being little men is not problematic. They're depicted that way in the movies. They're just little men. And then there are a few things on this that I find interesting. One is like, what are the ethics of actually going into an author's work who's dead, like posthumously, post-death, sorry, I'm treating people like idiots, changing their art? And I realize that the publisher must own the like Roald Dahl estate, and therefore they have like creative control over the books maybe, but like, is this like, are we gonna, I remember seeing this thing a few years ago where in Home Alone 2, the movie, Kevin, the main character, Macaulay Culkin's character, has a brief interaction with Donald Trump in one of the hotels he's at. And Donald Trump is in the film as an actor, I suppose, right? The movie came out in like 1999. And then people were saying, oh, we should airbrush Donald Trump out of the movie. So he was never in the movie. I'm like, why? He was in the movie. What is that going to achieve? I don't like going back and editing things. I don't like that, especially when the original artist is dead. It's like, imagine if they were like, hey, we're going to go back to Beethoven's Sixth Symphony. Oh, the one that's like, da-da-da-dun, da-da-da-dun. Yeah, but some people find that offensive, so we're just going to change it to da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Like, it doesn't make sense. And I don't like that something you've made can be like, even if it was just like, I don't know, just anything, any piece of art that an author has created, even if it's like problematic by today's standards. I just don't like the idea that we're going to go into it and just alter it and change it. I just think why? Especially when the author is dead. And I don't think these changes actually matter. Like, I don't think it's that problematic to refer to. I mean, I listened to the Oompa Loompa song for Augustus Gloop.
What do you get when you guzzle down sweets?
Eating as much as an elephant eats.
What are you at? Getting terribly fat. What do you think will come of that?
Interestingly, like, on a more philosophical analysis of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, like, I think there's a few problems with it in that sense as well, because I think a lot of because there's obviously the 4 other kids aside from Charlie Bucket. So there's Augustus, Veruca Salt, the one that turns into the blueberry, and Mike TV Mike, right? And I think all of them are like an assessment of capitalism, consumerism, excessive consumption. Okay, admittedly for Augustus Gloop, it's excessive consumption of food. But that being said, that kid did eat a lot and end up drowning in a chocolate river. Sorry, that's not a very good thing. You know, Mike TV is obsessed with watching TV. He's an ultra consumer. Veruca Salt, I think, is just a super rich girl who's very privileged and very bossy. And then I think the other one, again, I can't remember her name, the blueberry girl, she is like, her mum is really controlling of her and wants her to achieve and achieve and achieve. So it's like all of those themes are being critiqued, like classism, consumerism, all of that's being critiqued. And I think they're being critiqued in different ways. And I guess at the end of the movie, it's like, hey, Charlie, you're like the poor kid who has nothing and you still are so patient and respectful and blah, blah, blah. So you win. You're the one who's the best kid, right? And that's what it is. It's just some silly little allegory for kids being like, you know, don't be greedy. Don't listen to your parents. Don't be a dickhead. Don't be greedy. It's like, don't be greedy. And there's various forms of greed being shown in that movie / book. Haven't read the book. I assume the movie is, you know, closely related, like closely linked to it. But all of that, going back and editing someone else's work once they're dead. Like, I don't like the idea that in, you know, 50 years they go in and change, like, I don't know, I'm struggling to even think of an example. Maybe they go and change, like, The Lion King, and one of the lions is I don't know. I don't even know. But just, you know, okay, we can just change. I just find that interesting. Why? Why do we have to do this? And I even think, like, I find it really interesting as well how Disney handles this by doing their, like, you know, they have a lot of problematic cartoons from like the 30s, 40s, 50s that have some like racist undertones, sexist undertones. And what Disney does is Disney puts a little disclaimer at the top of their works that are problematic. They go, hey, this was made in a different time and we think differently about this now and we don't agree with this now, but you can still watch it. You just have to see this disclaimer. Now, what I find a little bit hypocritical and funny about that is they're still happy to make money off these products as long as they have this disclaimer there. It's like, if you actually think it's as problematic as it is, why don't you delete it from your servers and don't use it as a product on Disney Plus, as don't use it as something people can watch? Because putting up the disclaimer to me suggests, okay, we know it's wrong, we still want to profit off it. So to solve that problem, we're just going to put up this disclaimer that says that we know it's wrong, but we're still going to continue making money from it. I find that a little bit hazy as well, right? The other thing, and this is the point I really wanted to lead into, I think that if the biggest problem we have as a society with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is Augustus Gloop being described as fat, I think we're not looking hard enough. Hear me out. Willy Wonka, the character, is actually, when you think about it, a maniacal, sadistic liar who is fully aware of all of the safety standards being breached in his chocolate factory. He is fully aware of the fact that a kid just drowned in his chocolate lake, which cannot be legal even to have a chocolate lake, especially if you're then distributing that chocolate to other people, right? If you're selling that chocolate, someone's going to get sick. Willy Wonka is completely aware of these facts. He is completely aware of his negligence, that his factory has no safety standards, that someone out there from like the consumer authority must be coming to get him, must be coming to put him away for all of this negligence, for a lack of duty of care, you know, for all of this stuff. He must be a wanted man by the authorities, knowing of the negligence in his factory. So what does he do? He brings a bunch of kids into his factory, drowns one of them in his chocolate lake, and then he gives his factory at the end of the film to Charlie Bucket, the innocent poor kid. And then he disappears. Where did Willy Wonka go? We don't know. It never tells us. He disappears and gives his chocolate factory to Charlie, so Charlie has to inherit all of the legal problems of the company. Willy Wonka is no longer owner of that company because he gives it away to Charlie, so he goes away scot-free, runs away from the law, runs away, escapes, never has anything to do with the chocolate factory again. Charlie starts there his first day. Someone comes knocking on the door and goes, "Hey, a kid drowned in your chocolate lake, and you are clearly using slave labor. Who are these men or these people that are dressing up and singing songs? They're clearly slaves. You have a lot to answer for the unethical behavior of your company." And then Charlie's like, "Well, this is my first day." It's like, "Yeah, but you own the company." "Yeah, but it was the last guy." "Yeah, but you own the company." Willy Wonka, he's on his way to Mexico with the cash. He's out of here. He's not being held to account for any of the stuff he did, and that was his master plan. Get some innocent poor kid and his grandpa into the factory, make them feel special, and then give them the factory thinking they've just won the jackpot, when really you've completely fucked them over by giving them all of the legal issues involved with that factory.